Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bring Back Focus. This episode comes after a break of almost 3 years. It's been 3 long years. I paused this podcast because, well, life happened. Multiple things happened at the same time, but this problem always kept tugging at me. So I wanted to restart this. I've started my newsletter again, so I wanted to talk about this topic which is so important to me right now. And so today's episode, I'm going to be discussing the hidden cost or the cost of lost focus that we don't see. I am a firm I firmly believe that we are, and it's not just me believing, we are scientifically shown that we are losing our ability to focus en masse. Like everybody is distracted. We are distracted more than ever before. We are unable to focus on things that we want to focus on. So we are losing our ability to focus. And it's not just occasional distraction here and there. We are constantly in a whirlpool of distraction, be it meetings, emails, pings, our devices, is just always distracted right now. Now, the thing that really bothers me is that most people, a lot of people think that this leads to wasted time. And that's the only problem. No, yes, it absolutely leads to wasted time. That's a huge problem. But if you ask me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like what we see is wasted time. But there is so much happening beyond that. The cost is so high that a lot of us don't realize it. So, to do my research for this episode, I looked at some numbers. So, just to give you that in perspective, what does lost focus or distraction cost us? So, here are some stats that I found out. An average worker gets interrupted every 6 minutes. Every 6 minutes. An IC or individual contributor loses approximately 550 hours every year to distractions. That is like more than a month of work is just gone with that. A manager loses more than 680 hours to distractions. Most people get less than 90 minutes of real focused work per day. So that's, in a work day, let's take around 6 hours. Most people get less than 90 minutes of focused work. Only 58% people actually do not even get an hour of focused work every day. So can you imagine the impact that this have? It is, and these are just, if you look at some higher level numbers, like the US economy loses approximately $1.4 trillion in this. And sure, there are other numbers, but I just wanted to give you the gravity of the situation. So it's not just lost time. It's actually, in my opinion, it is lost potential. So what we see, as I said, what we see at the tip of the iceberg, sorry, is lost time. But here are a few things that happen underneath. The biggest one, which I very firmly believe, is our work suffers. So when you are not focused on your work or when you are working in a distracted manner, you take way more longer to create an outcome, and then the outcome is of subpar quality. I'll give you an example. I remember this was 3 years back, and I remember that vividly because I was working on a client presentation, and it was a very important meeting. And I started on the presentation. I was obviously pulled between in on chat, just coworker coming in asking me something. It took me literally around 4 to 5 hours to make that presentation, and then another hour or so, or in fact two, to kind of refine that further. I spent so much time working on that presentation, and it just at that point I actually looked at the time and I said, I spent so much time on it, and I wish I would be more focused, so I could spend less time. So, now when I am doing something like that, I block all distractions. And I'm able to do something similar in probably 2 hours. And more importantly, it's not just the time that I save, the output requires lesser modifications. It is high quality at the first go. So yeah, the time save is huge, but it's the potential, it's the kind of output that I deliver. And I'm sure you've seen that yourself. We perform best when we are focused single-mindedly on one task and give it our all. But that so rarely happens that it is sad. So yes, so the quality of work suffers big time. And the other big one is you stop growing in your career, or you don't grow to the potential that you could grow. And it's a big statement that I'm making, but what happens is every company, you are hired or you're working, hires you to solve big problems or hard problems. We get busy with busy work, but we are not hired to respond to emails. We are hired to solve some big problems, like how do we expand into a new market? How do we solve this customer issue? These are hard problems. The only way to solve any kind of hard problem is by spending dedicated time on figuring out that solution. If we don't get that time, we are not going to solve those hard problems or achieve the potential that we would. And that would, you will see that in your output, you will see that in your reviews, and you will see if you're not, if one of the ways to measure how you're doing at work is by getting your just seeing how many hard problems you solve every time. So I think that's the other big one. The third one, in my opinion, is you feel unfulfilled. I think the day I've just end up doing busy work, and don't get me wrong, it's I've not figured it out. I don't think anybody, and I'll go more in detail on that. I don't think anybody has figured out how to solve this completely, but the more busy work I do, the more unfulfilled I feel. So if I've not spent dedicated time on or focused time on some hard problems, I feel very unfulfilled. And if that accumulates over day on day, month on month, it's just an unfulfilling work and unfulfilling life. The fourth one, you forget what you're good at. Every human has some potential, they have talents. Your talent will never come to light if you are not if you are so distracted. So my thing with bring back focus was exactly that. When I started, it's I could see that these distractions or this environment was making me anxious, making me feel unfulfilled, and then eventually making me feel that I did not have the talent that I need, that or the potential to succeed. The last one, which is equally important, is you are always drained. If whenever you're not, whenever you're at the end of the busy work, and I don't know whether you've seen, it's almost like a brain fog when you're switching from one task to another. You feel tired, you mentally feel tired, whereas an hour of focus work after that, you feel refreshed. So it's a mental drain, and your brain never gets break from switching tasks. So the five things that are not visible on the surface, again, unfulfilled potential. So your work suffers, the quality of work suffers, you stop growing, you feel unfulfilled or feel empty, you forget what you're good at, and you're always drained. So yes, you're wasting time, but that's just the beginning. There's so much more happening. You end up not growing to the potential that you want to. You end up not fulfilling the wishes that you want to or your dreams that you have. And that is what prompted me to start Bring Back Focus in the first place and continue with this podcast series. Am I being too dramatic right now? I think so. But I don't think the reality is far away from this. It is, I believe this with everything I know. It is that dramatic. It is creating an impact that we don't know. We are just hazed right now with all of these. I see it all around me. Just we are all so busy with distractions that we don't see it. But you notice that with you when you take a step back with you and with people around you. And is there a way out? Absolutely, there is. It's extremely difficult. Even people who've tried, I experiment everything. It's just so difficult. One of the reasons why it's so difficult is because our brain are so used to distractions. The reason why get distracted is because we now seek distractions. For this to change, truly change, it has to be a systemic effort. It has to be an effort by, sure, you can solve some problem with you, but the problem is really not with you. It's our brains were not designed to cope up with this. It has to be a systemic effort, and for that, people need to come together, um, and drive those changes. So some of it is on you, sure. Some of it is on the way the work is designed and the systems are designed around us. But you don't have to fix everything at once. That's the point. You can start slowly and gradually because it is the time that it takes to do this, and that's what this podcast is for. In the next episodes, I'll walk you through some simple changes I've made, some important ones that has helped. I also will gain insights from people who've been on this journey, and I'll share those with you. Thank you for tuning in and stay tuned for the next episodes. And I hope, and I not hope, I promise that we won't have a pause as long as we did this time around. So thank you and have a good day.